And we're back for the last year of high school. Year 3 of Spider-Man builds up to one of the greatest Spider-Man stories of all time, a certified classic that most Spider-Man fans are familiar with, even if they don't know it. This year feels like a culmination of everything that has come before it. Peter Parker's character arc feels like it reaches its natural completion here, and we get to see the first era of Spider-Man, the high school era, come to its end. I think there's 3 main qualities that separates young, immature Peter Parker from the older, mature Peter Parker. 1, anger. Peter Parker is angry in his younger years. He will think about literally pulverizing someone. He gets into fights with Flash, and he has moments where he will just punch a wall or something in a fit of rage. The dude's a hothead when he's younger. 2, Peter is ready to throw hands with people, and he seeks out danger as Spider-Man, and he has this courage to him. But when things get tough, he does turn into a bit of a pussy sometimes. He has quit being Spider-Man multiple times at this point, and he tends to complain about how hard things are for him. He does get scared when he's young, and that fear overtakes him sometimes. There are 2 wolves inside Peter Parker. He must choose which one he will be. And 3, young Peter can be quite arrogant. His arrogance is the reason Uncle Ben, And here, this year, we see him set a Terminator out there in the world with no consideration how that could go wrong. He doesn't even consider the possibility of collateral damage, and he doesn't seem to even realize he might lose the fight. He might die. Young Peter Parker's character arc has been about growing past these 3 issues, these 3 flaws of his. Peter's learning responsibility, how to be a hero. These years are Peter's coming of age story, and the year 3 is kind of the culmination of that. How does high school Peter Parker's journey conclude? Let's see. The year begins with issue 23, Green Goblin and the Gangsters, and issue 24, Spider-Man Goes Mad. These honestly aren't very important issues, so I don't really want to say much about them. They're fun enough. They're just very unremarkable to the overall journey. 23 has Goblin try to take out some gangsters, and he fails. And 24, Spider-Man starts hallucinating. He sees villains everywhere he goes. Is he crazy? Maybe. There is no possible explanation for all this. Peter isn't actually crazy. It was Mysterio all along. A fun issue, but not one that I have much to say about. The next issue, though, 25, is much more interesting, and this is where I can get into what I really want to talk about, young Peter Parker's character arc, and the cast of characters around him, and the storytelling evolution of these books. A man named Smythe creates a Spider Slayer robot, which is essentially Terminator, designed to specifically take on the Spider-Man. Smythe is this dude from the animated show from the 90s. Or maybe it's his father, I don't know, they don't really say his full name. Anyway, he wants to sell the Spider Slayer robot to Jameson, but Jameson turns him down. Peter, in his infinite wisdom, figures it's just a Terminator, I can take it. So he convinces Jameson to give the Slayer a shot. Betty gets mad about this, seeing Peter encourage Jameson's insanity. Peter now has a Terminator after him, and his girlfriend is mad at him. Peter chalks this up to his luck. But it is not luck. It's very much his own doing. This is part of Peter Parker's character. Peter is a smart guy. He understands physics, he's top of his class, he can build gadgets and comes up with clever ways to beat his villains. But he does have a tendency to do or say something stupid that gets him into trouble, often with girls. He once broke into a military airfield. He alienated the Fantastic Four because he decided to assault them and for money, and now he's doing this stuff. There's a bit of a duality to Peter's intelligence. He's extremely smart, and yet he keeps doing stupid stuff. The smartest dumbass I ever knew. The love triangles continue here, and normally I would want to ignore this, but this is something that is actually relevant for this year, so I gotta cover it a little bit. I hate the love triangles. Liz and Betty's worlds revolve around their men, and they have nothing more going on in their lives. We never get a moment to see inside Liz's head. She's super insecure. Why? Why is she so insecure? What does she want from life other than Peter and Flash's attention? does her life look like? Really, like we don't know. She never gets fleshed out properly. Betty at least had an issue or two where we saw her brother, but that's just one storyline, one issue out of like what, over 20, over a couple of dozen. And even that issue is about another man, her brother. These female characters are extremely outdated and they're really annoying to read. Betty and Liz drag down these issues every time they appear. They are very frustrating. And this issue has a lot of both of them. I will admit though, this scene with Mary Jane, pretty funny. I giggled. There's a running gag on where Aunt May tries to set up Peter up to meet this girl next door, Mary Jane Watson, but Peter never meets her. Every time something happens that comes between them, like MJ will catch a cold, so they don't get to go on a date, or Peter will just not be around to meet her because he's busy with Spider-Man stuff. She's only referenced in passing, or here her face is obscure, and you don't get to see what she looks like. Issue 26 and 27, Green Goblin and Crime Master fight over who gets to rule the underworld. Now, issue 27, this is a two-parter, so it's two issues. Now, in issue 27, the whole thing escalates and it turns into a bit of a gang war. And the whole thing feels like a proto-gang war. Gangs getting into fights with each other is a regular occurrence in Spider-Man. It happens in cartoons, video games. Weirdly, hasn't happened yet in the movies for some reason. And at the time of the recording, the last event in Amazing Spider-Man was literally called Gang War. This and issue 23 might just be the first stories of this kind in Spider-Man, unless I'm forgetting a storyline somewhere. It's at least one of the early ones, and this is like the one that stood out to me, like, oh, that's very similar to some of the later storylines that will happen. Some will involve Green Goblin specifically, so it's kind of cool. There's no Silvermane or Hammerhead or any of these other guys, but it is kind of early examples of this kind of storyline, which is, I don't know, cool. Goblin's identity isn't revealed once again. Now, I know the answer to who Goblin is, so I know what hints to look for, and I'll be honest, I haven't really seen any hints so far. So far, the only hint to Goblin's identity seems to be that he wears a suit, and he seems to have a big apartment, so he has access to a lot of money or technology. So he's rich. That's the hint. I'm not a writer, but I think the Goblin mystery is handled pretty terribly. I feel like it's like there is no way to guess who he really is, and that's just kind of lame. It's like it's a mystery, but nobody bothered to make it fair, give you hints. Like it's really terrible. A good mystery should be something that has hints and foreshadowings and sets up who the bad guy is, who the reveal is. So when it comes around, it's like you can look back on the previous issues and be like, oh, I know this one guy acted really sketchy, or like, oh, this guy was color coded to look like the villain, or something like that. Here, that just doesn't happen, and it's really lame. Goblin vows revenge at the end of the issue. He's taking the loss personally. So far, it's been kind of like just how, impersonal, like, oh, Spider-Man just has to go because Spider-Man stops villain and Goblin is a villain. So there's just kind of, it hasn't been that personal, but now Goblin vows revenge. We get an actual scene with him doing that. It seems to be more personal. He seems to very specifically be mad at Spider-Man now. And the battle between him and Spider-Man seems to be leveling up now. It's such a small thing. A small scene. It's such a small scene, but Goblin really means it. Spider-Man doesn't think about Goblin the same way I think. So I'd imagine this will cause some whiplash later. But what I really want to talk about with this issue is Peter and Aunt May's relationship. It's an extremely important part of these early Spider-Man stories, and I think this issue does have a great scene that demonstrates that. It's just so wholesome. I absolutely adore Peter and Aunt May's relationship so much. Like, look at him. It's so adorable. Oh, my heart. I love it so much. Peter is quite angsty in these early years. He's often whining about how hard things are for him, sometimes because of its own doing. It could get kind of annoying to read, but what makes it work is that one, those episodes tend to only last few pages or so before something in comes over and distracts from that, or he gets over it. Two, The book is just straight up funny. And 3, it's the people, specifically Aunt May. Aunt May grounds Peter. She gives a face to Peter's responsibility. She reminds him of what really matters in life. I can't care about the whole faceless, nameless, abstract world, but I can care about one person with a face, feelings, and thoughts. A real person. May's an integral part of what makes high school Spider-Man so endearing. These scenes make me want to go hug my grandma, and I love them so much. God! But there is something that bothers me a little bit about these issues. I don't really know Aunt May. I know Peter loves Aunt May. I absolutely love seeing Peter love Aunt May. But I don't actually love her. I don't know her. There are a few panels here and there where she might show a little worry over Peter, but that's not a full person. That's just a small glimpse. It's not enough, I feel like. I want to know who Aunt May was. What did she do for a living? Does she have any other family? How did she meet Ben? I really would like to see more of her and what she does during her days, what she's going through. Like, specifically, just her. I want to get to know her more, and I wish the book did more to get me to love Aunt May as a character. As of now, the book relies entirely on my love for Peter. Isn't there a little Peter Parker in all of us? That's cute. And also, this might be the first time we see Norman Osborn. He's not named in this issue, but he does seem to appear. At least this guy looks like Norman. Hard to believe Steve Ditko would accidentally draw 2 people with that same yee ass haircut. There's an annual here somewhere too. Doctor Strange makes an appearance in that. It's cool. Nothing really important happens there, but it's fine. Something important does happen in issue 28. The Menace of the Molten Man. I just gotta say, I love the extended action scene with Molten Man. Molten Man is a brawler. The fight feels dynamic in this issue as they keep changing location. It's a long fight. It feels exhausting. It's more like a proper fist fight fought down on the ground and dirty. It's like an underground cage match or a street fight or something. I love how it feels and looks. There's this scene where Spider-Man uses lights to gain upper hands, and I love the way Molten Man looks in the dark. Wish that part was longer because it truly is one of the most stunning visuals so far we've seen in any issue. Fun fact, the important thing in this issue? This is the issue Peter Parker graduates from high school. It feels quite anticlimactic, to be honest. Molten Man is just a random villain to end an era on. He's just a completely random choice. He's not connected to anything or anyone going on. The graduation ceremony reminds me just how little you know Peter Parker's high school cast. I mean, it's just Liz and Flash, like literally just those 2. Everybody else is nameless, except Charlie here. Can't forget about Charlie. Oh yeah, Sally was name dropped in the origin. How could I possibly forget about Sally? What a fleshed out cast we got here. Nothing really happens as far as the graduation goes. Peter shows up, gets his paper, and we're done. The really important thing is Liz. She says she's graduating from obsessing over Peter. Then she leaves, seemingly for good. Good for her, but most importantly, good for me. Go away and never come back. I don't like you. Yes, feels good that she's leaving. I'm so happy. It's a good moment. It's a good scene. I'm happy. Oh my god. Oh yeah, baby. It's a Scorpion issue, so you know it's a good one. I love how intense Scorpion feels in these early issues. I mean, look at his eyes. This guy is unhinged. He's way more powerful than I ever knew. All the versions of Scorpion I've come across before treat him like a second-rate villain. The video games treat him like a throwaway boss somewhere in the middle of the game you don't really care about. That doesn't affect the plot. The modern comics, he only appears rarely, and the issues I've read, he was just okay, nothing special. Even Ultimate Universe treated Scorpion like trash. The Scorpion there isn't even Mac Gargan, but entirely different character who appears for like a half an issue and then disappears and never shows up again. I always assumed Scorpion was a second-rate villain because of this, but oh no. Reading these early issues, he's A tier, baby. He's top tier. I love this guy. I love him so much. And all the most modern Spider-Man authors should be ashamed of themselves. Scorpion is my guy, and the way he's being treated, it's the real crime. Issue 30, The Claws of the Cat. Cat Burglar is the villain. He's a thief. It's whatever. Not a particularly interesting issue. Notably, though, there's one thing in this issue that stands out. The relationship with Betty, whom I don't care about, like, at all, is coming to an end. The issue ends with Betty also exiting the book. She breaks up with Peter, and that's the note we leave on. It's over. It's really over. No more Liz. No more Betty. Dobby is a free elf. Oh my god, it feels good. Oh. Things are changing, and Peter's character development comes to a head with the next story. One of the most epic Spider Man storylines ever told. The classic, beloved by all, If This Be My Destiny. There have been a few issues up to this point that could be considered classics. The annual, Spidey Strikes Back, the origin. Honestly, that's kinda it. Like Sinister Six pops up regularly, a little too much if you ask me, but we don't see this specific storyline pop up. If This Be My Destiny straight up has been adapted in Spectacular Spider-Man. And there are scenes that have been done many, many times over. This storyline is so good, the adaptations are loyal to it. And it's one of the includes some of the most iconic pieces of imagery Spider-Man has ever produced. They keep doing some of these scenes over and over again. If This Be My Destiny goes to the next level. At least I think so. This is the first issue of Peter Parker in college, starting a new era of Spider-Man. Here we meet two new characters, Harry Osborn and Gwen Stacy. I'm gonna come out and say it. Ditko's Harry. This boy ugly. Peter has his hands full with a crime wave that is happening, run by the mysterious master planner. Aunt May gets sick again. Peter's worried about his dear aunt, and he needs money to pay her bills. People try to socialize with Peter at the college, but he keeps brushing them all off. And they kind of get hurt over it. And we spend many, many scenes of just showing this happening. Harry doesn't like Peter because Peter's a square. And some of these nameless students also get mad. Gwen Stacy is the only one who wants to give Peter a chance and past this initial misunderstanding. She can tell there's more to Peter and wants to get to know him. Peter keeps ignoring her, though. This happens throughout many scenes. This is most of the issue's content. Eventually, she gets mad too. This story is a three-parter. The only other one like it was the Spidey Strikes Back trilogy, but that was far more disconnected. Each part there was more independent, more standalone, and felt more complete. Here, issue 1 and 2 aren't complete. They are part 1 and part 2. You need to read all the parts for this story. It's the first story to go this big and this long, and asks you to read everything to get it. The Crime Master was a two-parter also, but it didn't have this much personal character development. It wasn't this slow. Here, the splitting is used specifically for a much noticeably slower pace. The first issue doesn't have much in the way of action. There's the initial action scene and the kind of a final one. Everything else is just character drama. It focuses almost entirely on the characters and takes the time to set compelling drama between them that feels much less contrived than anything Betty Brant ever had. It allows you to sit with Peter's worry over Aunt May, making everything feel so much more meaningful. It makes it feel so much more emotional. You're with it more. And these characters will be around for a long time. So taking this time to set them up and this initial misunderstanding makes Harry and Gwen feel more like real people, with the shifting feelings and thoughts and relationships with people around them. This issue is a slow burn, and that will pay off big time with the characters. Part 2, Man on a Rampage, immediately reveals Master Planner to be Dr. Octopus. Yeah, probably should have held out on that reveal. There's no reason to reveal it now. It's just disappointingly anticlimactic. The mystery added tension to the story, and you want to know who this guy is, what he wants. The reveal should have happened with Peter, when Peter finds out, for maximum impact. I don't really understand the decision to reveal it here. It's probably the biggest flaw in these issues. We also find out why May is sick in this issue. Peter gave May blood all the way back in issue 10. Peter even remarked back then that he doesn't dare give Aunt May blood because his blood is radioactive. Probably a bad idea, but he does it anyway to save her. Damn, what a callback. And it's very natural too. I must say, damn good continuity, sir. I want to really highlight how far Stan Lee and Steve Ditko have come since issue 1. So I want to look at a scene from issue 1. And it's this one where Peter throws his first temper tantrum. He's raging because Jameson wrote an article about Spider-Man calling Spider-Man a menace. I understand his anger, like I would be mad too, but it does come across a little silly to bang up a wall. Now look at this scene from Man on a Rampage like 30 issues later. He just found out Aunt May's dying because of him, so he has this massive reaction to it. And it doesn't come across as stupid because the reason for it is far more justified. It's an extreme circumstance, so it gets an extreme response. It's more relatable, and thus it's likable kind of rage. While the first scene, it feels like Peter is a punching hole in the wall because he lost a match of Call of Duty or something. Then what follows is another important part of this little equation. In the first scene, that's the end of the scene. It doesn't continue, nothing happens. He just bangs up a wall, complains, and that's it. This rage doesn't lead to Spider-Man taking rash actions, nor is it a character flaw he has to get over. It doesn't lead to anything. He just kind of bangs up a wall for a panel. In Man on a Rampage, that rage is turned into real action. Goes out and tries to save Aunt May. That's far more appropriate and far more likable. It matters to the overall plot, and it matters to the character. It pushes him forward, and he has to, confront it, or in this case, use the rage. Rage you see in these panels is the fire that fuels him for the next issue and a half. Drives him forward. It adds a layer of emotion to every single one of his actions he takes during the rest of the storyline. Everything is colored through these lenses. The dialogue here sounds far more human in the later storyline. In issue 1, it sounds kind of like exposition almost about his emotions, but here the dialogue sounds more human, and it sounds more like an adult who's afraid. There's a more subtext to it. It sounds like an adult having a breakdown. And one of the other parts of it is the art. The art also has evolved so much. In the first scene, the art is quite simplistic. It feels cold, like it's just the point of view, the camera, I don't know what you call it. It's like far away. There's not a whole lot. It's very simplistic colored. It's a simple picture. Now, if you look at the second scene, it conveys a much, much stronger emotions. There's strong red coloring that conveys the anger, the desperation Peter is feeling. His entire body is moving with the punches. And you get to really feel that pain. The point of view is closer to the action, so you get getting in there, right in there with Peter. You get to really soak in his face. And you see the emotions build up through these close-ups until it's released in a larger panel where he smashes the table, actually takes that action. It's infinitely stronger storytelling. And this storytelling, this evolution is what really separates childish, unlikable Peter from the mature, lovable Peter. These two scenes, I think, really highlight how Stan Lee and Steve Ditko evolved over time. How much better they really got. No wonder Man on a Rampage would be considered one of the greatest of all time. It's just that much better than everything that has come before it. He contacts Dr. Connors, and this is the first time we see Connors since like issue 6 or something, so that's cool. He helps Spider-Man because Connors owes his life to Spider-Man. The good Spider-Man has done over the years is saving him here. A culmination of everything, I'm telling you. It's so good. Spider-Man needs money to pay Connors, so he sells all his scientific equipment. It's a little sacrifice he makes to win. It's these little sacrifices that makes Peter feel more human. It's not like Bruce Wayne ever needs to sell his stuff to catch a villain. Connors wants to make a cure for Aunt May, and Doc Ock needs the same ISO 36 for his plan, so Doc Ock steals the ISO. This sets Spider-Man off, and he goes around town doing everything he can to get to Doc Ock. He's going around smashing up bars and interrogating goons, raging out and yelling and threatening them, until he finds an underwater hideout. There Doc Ock captures Spider-Man and claims to be superior. I see you, modern writers. I see what you're doing. Now they fight, and as you do, and during the fight, you can really feel the force behind Spider-Man. The art does a good job of conveying that Spider-Man is like punching harder. He feels more aggressive. He's throwing around Doc Ock like it's nothing, to the point that even Doc Ock comments on it. Spider-Man is on edge. He is pushed to the limit. All the rage from previous scenes are displayed here. And this reckless attitude he has leads to him throwing a pillar at another pillar, and the whole room starts collapsing, and Spider-Man gets stuck under some rubble. The ceiling starts to collapse, so the river over the hideout will come out surging down in any minute. This is the cliffhanger. This is honestly the most hype I've been for a Spider-Man comic so far. It's ridiculously good. And that leads to chapter 3, the final chapter, literally called Final Chapter. This scene is top 10, if not top 5 Spider-Man scenes easy. Ever wondered why Spider-Man is always lifting stuff? There's this scene from Homecoming. Insomniac Spider-Man begins with a QTE like this. Raimi did a train scene, which is the same exact thing, but instead of lifting it vertically, he stops a train horizontally. This scene is the reason every version of Spider-Man has this scene. Every version of Spider-Man has Spider-Man lifting something in there somewhere. Final Chapter is one of the most influential pieces of Spider-Man media ever. And it fully deserves it. This is as good as it gets. Everything about the character is here. The drama with the supporting cast, innate loneliness to Peter, the money issues, the sacrifices, big and small, that Peter makes, his capacity to fail and his humanity, his emotions of anger, despair, fear, it's all done perfectly here. Peter has been beaten. Before, back in issue 3, Doc Ock beat Spider-Man there, and Peter almost quit being Spider-Man over it. Here, he doesn't. He gets back to it. He doesn't need a Human Torch to hype him up anymore. He does it himself. All alone, he makes the choice to fight on. He's stuck under a thing, and then he lifts the thing. So good. But it's not over. Spider-Man now has to escape the facility. His legs gets messed up, so he's physically tired, hurt, and time's running out. The ceiling actually collapses, and all the water comes down and almost kills him. There's a bunch of goons ready to jump him with numbers the moment he gets out of the water. There's so much going on, and it's such a constant escalation of tension. It's really incredible. And there are no clever tricks here. Spider-Man just has to fight these people. It's simple, but the art really hammers in just how exhausted Spider-Man is by this point. He looks like he's faltering. His punches lack the power they might have in other issues. And it's a constant thing. Every time he does something, new problems arise. You really feel how long this journey has been. So when he fights these guys, just a group of regular thugs, he doesn't even have the energy for clever tricks. He doesn't jump over the goons. He doesn't whip them up. He just fights them. And he doesn't even have the energy to dodge their stuff. Spider-Man just stands there and he tanks those hits. He stands stiff and just gets punched. And he just kind of throws punches without thinking or looking. You can visually see how much weaker and kind of worse he is in this fight. He's so out of it that even once the henchmen are beaten, Spider-Man keeps fighting. He just keeps punching air because he's not really aware what's going on. He's in full survival mode, like an animal. And he just fights through it all. After all of that, he limps out. And he gets the cure to Connors. One of the most thoroughly satisfying Spider-Man sagas you have ever thrilled to. Indeed. Peter gets the serum and gives it to Aunt May. It's over. Now all he can do for May is wait. Then we get to Jameson. After all the excitement and unfortunately Betty, Jameson is a much more welcome sight. He's funny and offers some much needed, I don't know what you call it, tension break. He also comments on how Parker used to be a real milquetoast and that Parker has wisened up. It feels good to see Peter mature, but it feels even better to see other characters acknowledge his character growth. We return to the hospital one last time to confirm May is fine. She made it. And we get this moment from Peter where he exclaims, he didn't let May down. Peter didn't fail her. Oh, it makes me want to cry. It's so emotional. And then there's this issue, and then there's this tease for the next issue, which kind of kills the mood. But I will allow it. It's easily the best Spider-Man story so far. undoubtedly one of the greatest Spider-Man stories of all time that holds up really well. What's a few minor flaws next to such greatness? I'll end it here since it seems as good a place as any. If This Be My Destiny is a worthy culmination of years worth of character development, bringing the high school era to a beautiful end. It also marks the beginning of Peter's most famous era, the college years. Peter's personality is much more kind and patient than what it used to be. He hasn't quit being Spider Man in over a year. That's the record so far. He's kinder to others. Flash no longer gets under his skin like he used to. And he just takes time to just hang out with Aunt May just because he loves her and values her. Our boy has come a long way. And it makes reading everything so much more rewarding. In 3 years, the book has evolved into something else entirely. And it's all the better for it.